Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Ghost Rider number 5, cover dated September 1990. So the cover caption is Takes on the Punisher, part 1 of 2. And the cover is by not Javier Saltares or Mark Texeira, but rather by Jim Lee. So pencils and inks by Jim Lee. I've often pointed out how I do enjoy Jim Lee's work when he inks over his pencils. This is an example of that, a prime example of that. It's an extremely dynamic cover featuring the Ghost Rider there, basically driving his bike over the Punisher. Punisher's got a knife out, his arms are wrapped up in Ghost Rider's chains. There's a little kind of colouring error here where the chains change color from gray to blue, and also the Punisher's costume here is supposed to be ripped at his side, but you can't see that with the color art. So I don't think that this is Gregory Wright doing the colors here. Now, Gregory Wright was coloring Jim Lee's work over in Punisher War Journal around this time, so these two artists used to working together, and that's why I don't think that this is Greg Wright coloring the cover. I like Jim Lee's use of a zipatone here on Ghost Rider's trousers. That looks good. Yeah, this is good stuff. Now, I do have a teeny tiny constructive criticism, at least I think it's constructive, whereby I would like to flip the image. I would like to have Ghost Rider writing this way. I think that that's more natural because of our way of reading left to right in the West anyway. So that would be a little change I would make to this. But I do think that that's a great cover, really great work. And I had been critical of Javier Saltares' covers for issue number 2 and issue number 3 in particular. But it seems like Saltares is struggling with the schedule, trying to get like whole books done on time for the really difficult monthly schedule to get 22 pages plus a cover done every month. So that might be the reason that Jim Lee is doing this cover, or it could be, like I was saying, that maybe editorial was thinking that we need to get someone who's good on covers in order to put something on the front of this book that is going to attract the eyes of readers, and this one does that job really well. Now let's open it up. Enough about the cover. Let's open it up to the splash page, and that is quite a cool image to begin with. So we've got Ghost Rider there. He's choking out a couple of guys, but what is the story here? Now, if your eye looks around the image, you'll see that there's a woman here on the ground. So is Ghost Rider punishing these guys for attacking her? That's kind of what you'd put together. And interesting choice too to have the creative team here on the steps. So Howard Mackie writer, Javier Saltares and Mark Texeira credited as artists. So in the previous issue, number 4, Javier Saltares was providing breakdowns only and Texeira finishes. So we're not quite sure what the division of labor is here, but it seems to me that some pages most definitely are penciled by Saltares and inked by Texeira, whereas other pages look to me like it's Texeira who's doing the pencils and inks. So I'll comment on a few of those as I go through the comic. And the rest of the creative team, Michael Heisler, letterer, and Gregory Wright on colors. And the narrative captions open: Forest Park, Queens. Minutes ago, 6 youths attacked an innocent woman on her way home from work. They took her money, but that wasn't enough. They took her dignity and tried to take her life. So obviously that is a euphemistic expression, or maybe better to say a circumlocution. They took her dignity for, well, I think we know. I won't even have to make it explicit. We know what that means. But again, it's interesting that Mackie's kind of coding that if you're a 10-year-old reader, you're satisfied with the literal there, whereas if you're an older reader, you know what is implicit in a circumlocutionary phrase like that. Ghost Rider wouldn't let them. Now 4 of the youths have felt the soul-searing torment of the Ghost Rider's penance stare, and the remaining 2 plead for mercy from one who will show them none. And the title of the story is Getting Paid. So we'll see what all that is about in the course of going through the issue. And Ghost Rider asks the guys why. And they plead with him. It wasn't me, man, I swear, me either. It was Louis and the others. They did it all. We just watched. Come on, let us go. We're just kids. So is Ghost Rider going to have compassion on them? No. He responds, she must be avenged. Even if you only watched, you are as responsible as the others. After her wounds heal, her pain will still run deeply. You must feel her pain. So just what he was saying there, even if you only watched, you're as responsible as the others, reminds me of Steve Ditko, reminds me of Ditko's moral objectivism philosophy and how he worked that into his own comics like Mr. A, but how it was implicit in those early Spider-Man stories, despite Stan Lee's kind of liberal, compassionate, humanist dialogue. There was that sense, there was a creative tension between Ditko's more uncompromising view of things and Stan Lee's more forgiving view of things. So Ghost Rider is beginning the penance there, and then somebody off panel says freeze, and it's the police. Put the kids down, buddy, says one of them. Do as he said now. So Ghost Rider drops them. No fancy stunts, no cute moves, no nothing, says the officer. We've radioed for backup. The park is sealed up tight, and to top it all, we've got your bike. So just sit tight. So there is the mystical bike. And Ghost Rider says very plainly, I can never be separated from my motorcycle. Now that's a really great little sequence there by Saltares. Saltares is very good at this stuff. This kind of almost cinematic storytelling. Really, really nicely done. Ghost Rider lands on the saddle of his bike. Let's get past the advertisements here. See what happens next. Well, basically, he rides off and the police are able to do nothing about it. Again, I really like the use of speed lines by Saltares and Mark Texeira. Ghost Rider here going over the wall of the park and right over this TV news van as well. It's him, says the TV journalist. I thought the paper boys made him up. Don't you dare screw this up, Doug, she says. I want footage. This is going to be my hottest story ever. So now Ghost Rider has a news reporter on his tail. The next day, Washington Square Park, Manhattan. Now that's a really nice establishing shot there. So I wonder, was photo reference used? And there are some, there's a gang in a convertible, and they are joyriding around the park and then start shooting from their machine guns. This is crazy stuff. School's out, yuppie, says one of them. Yo, Jay, I got a little schoolgirl, should we keep her? Do it, Tommy T, do it. And this guy is shot in the head. So this isn't Ghost Rider. Now, we remember the cover. Let's turn the page. We know who's going to be behind that shot. I'm called the Punisher. And he's also riding a motorcycle because, he's guest starring in Ghost Rider's comic. And we got to have motorcycles in it. So he's got a pretty nice one there too. And yeah, looking good. Years ago, he runs through his little origin there. Let me see there. Years ago, my family was killed by slime with guns. I couldn't help them. I can help these people. I see it all the time. Most of the guys with the big guns are brave as long as no one's shooting back at them. Shoot back and they run. Fancy weapons for kids. They didn't buy them on the street. Someone's supplying them. I think I know who it is. I thought he was dead. When I find him, he will be. So that's... I think Mackie does a good job there of getting Punisher's voice right. And clearly the device here is that we are reading the Punisher's journal, much as we do in Punisher War Journal. But great action sequence here while Punisher is running through all of that. In terms of him shooting the side of the car, they speed away and Punisher's getting ahead of them on the bike. It's good stuff. And again, I like the use of the speed lines too. Saltares and Texeira are very good at that kind of work. So Punisher gets ahead of them, stops in the middle of the road. And in his monologue, he says, got to lead them away from the park, away from the people. These punks don't care who gets hit with their stray fire. I do. So what does he say about his weapon? .454 Casel, one of the most powerful handguns available, and with the laser sighting, the most accurate. The engine block is history. Time for some answers. So the driver's dead. The guy in the back there is pleading with the Punisher, And I know my rights. This is all replaying like the Dirty Harry movies. You've one right, says Punisher. You don't tell me what I want to know, and you've the right to remain silent permanently. I don't know, like, there's just always something about this, like gallows humor, and the dry wit of characters like the Punisher. It just always makes me laugh. It's good stuff. And look at the guy sweating there with his popped eye and the shadow of the blade just across his cheek. Very, very good stuff. So, the next day in Brooklyn. Now, this page looks a little bit more like it could have been drawn by Texeira. Oh, Dan, this feels so good. It's been so long since we've been together like this. So this is Danny Ketch and his girlfriend, Stacey Dolan. It's too soon, Stacey, says Dan. I need a little bit more time to get over what's happened to Barb. When she suggests that they go out together. And now there's a special report on the recent getting paid acts of random violence that have been plaguing the city. So it's our TV reporter from earlier. She says the slogan, getting paid, has become a battle cry for the legions of heavily armed youths terrorizing our city streets over the past few weeks. Last night, yet another innocent victim fell prey to one of the roving bands of youths. So that was the woman on the steps earlier. The police claim to be following all leads, but are they overlooking the obvious? Okay, so she's going to put 2 and 2 together and get 5. Last night, I witnessed the so-called ghostwriter evade a police dragnet at the scene of the crime in which a young woman was brutally attacked and several young people were hurt. That same night, the Punisher was on hand at Washington Square during another getting paid incident. Are the police exploring the similarities between the two alleged vigilantes? Could they be one and the same person? See what I mean? Putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5. So, let's continue here. Dan's watching the TV. By the way, because I spotted the detail, I'm going to direct you to take a look at it as well. And again, I think this is down to Texeira. If you have a look at Stacey's top there, just look at it in high definition, this particular panel here. Mark Texeira kind of like pushing the boat out there in terms of what we're seeing under her top, and in a Comics Code approved title as well. Same thing again in this particular issue. That's something that no adolescent boy would fail to notice. Whatever that's about, maybe bumping up the sales. In any case, Danny thinks to himself, that's a laugh. The Ghost Rider and the Punisher, the same person. Me and the Punisher, the same person. Now, there's an interesting dimension to this. He starts thinking, I don't know what the Ghost Rider is, but he sure ain't a person. But also, obviously, Mackie's interested in the parallels there are between the Punisher and the Ghost Rider, since they're both about vengeance, and a kind of like a never-ending, uncompromising war on criminals, where they don't believe in rehabilitation, only believe in retribution. That's their form of vengeance. Of course, the line that is drawn between Ghost Rider and Punisher is on the question of capital punishment. So in any case, the reporter continues saying, these motorcycle riding vigilantes are as dangerous as the getting paid gangs if they're not behind the whole business. So Danny switches it off. He's there musing. I retain the Ghost Rider's memories, and I know he's basically good. He never killed anyone, never hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. But then Stacey asks him that question that many women very often ask men, what are you thinking about? And he lies, nothing. And then she persists, Dan, you've got to let me in. Ever since Barb got hurt, you've been pulling further and further into yourself. What is it? It's really nothing, he lies. So she's insistent. This thing inside of you is going to eat you alive. She says she knows, she perceives there's something up with him. And then he looks out the window moodily. You know nothing about the thing that's inside of me, nothing at all. So, moody and mysterious Dan Ketch there. And at that moment on Jamaica Avenue, a guy with very few moods, Frank Castle, the Punisher, is in his Punisher van. And the kid spilled his guts, he says, about the weapon supplier, pointed me towards a warehouse on the next block. Now it's a waiting game. The reporter's connecting me with the Ghost Rider. She's way off the mark. They usually are. I've heard some pretty impressive things about the Ghost Rider. Heard he took out a bunch of the Kingpin's men. Thought he was one of the good guys. Maybe he is connected to this somehow. So the Punisher thinking out all the possible options here. Oh well, he says, as he smacks in, what is this, like 1, 2, 3 magazines into this massive machine gun? Hilarious. But I really like the art on this page. Nice kind of establishing shot here of the neighborhood as well, with the overhead train line there too. And later that afternoon, so we're moving towards the night, and you can see great colors on this page for indicating sunset as well. The orange there with the Brooklyn Bridge, really, really good stuff. But later that afternoon, the news reporter is still on, and Dan's doing the washing up and his mother's there. And so now we're going to have set up for an upcoming storyline where she's leaving for church, but it's not as innocent as all of that. And the mother asks Dan, where's Stacy? She's off to the gym getting ready for the police physical exam. And what does Dan's mother have to say? She's such a lovely girl, Daniel. The entire Dolan family has been the answer to a prayer since Barb was hurt. Mrs. Dolan is meeting me at church and then driving me to the hospital to see Barb tonight. So what is the church? Dan's mother, very religious. It looks like Barbara may be coming down with pneumonia. That's why I'm going to church to pray for her. It's all in God's hands, Daniel, and I know that she'll be back with us soon. So don't you worry. And if you go out tonight, please be careful. This neighborhood just isn't safe anymore. And that's the truth. So down there thinking, I have a power. I could try to use it to get some money to help out Mom and Barb. This is kind of replaying like early Spider-Man issues in this regard. Get better doctors, get paid back for the suffering that we're going through, that Barb is going through. But then he's thinking again later on, I could never bring myself to use the Ghost Rider's powers for my own purposes. So he's already moved to the whole Peter Parker idea, or well, ultimate Uncle Ben's moral principle that with great power comes great responsibility. I don't think I could ever have that much control over him once the transformation happens, he's thinking too. I've got to figure this out, get someone to help me learn about him. So who should he go to? Well, my idea is he should go to Doctor Strange. That would be my first port of call if this was happening to me. But in any case, he continues thinking to himself, but there's too much going on. Barb, the disappearances, all this violence, I just don't know. So here's one of these kids from the neighborhood that Dan recognizes called Eddie. He's running off somewhere. And Eddie says to him, I'm going to tell you where he's going because I know you're cool, Dan. I'm heading over to the old warehouse on Fulton Street. I hear you can pick up some hardware for free. With all the stuff going down around here, I don't plan on disappearing like Paulie Stratton of the Jokers. So I reference back to issue 3. Hardware, guns, Eddie. You're only 11 years old. So, says Eddie with his hands on his hips, so get your butt home before I let your father know what you're into. And the kid there, man, I thought you was cool. Not cool, Eddie. Hot. And about to become hotter. So I like that. This is a really nice panel where he's lifting up the shutter of the garage and inside is the motorbike. Yeah, nice sequence, well told. Again, these 2 pages definitely Javier Saltares, inked by Texeira. Let's get past the advertisement here. And we have now the Punisher continuing his stakeout. He's gotten up to higher ground. Love the detail there of the rail line, the elevated rail line. This is the place, he says in his journal. Kids are gathering already. There have got to be sentries around here somewhere. And with all that firepower floating around there, I'm not making my move until I know where all the pros are. Bingo, he says. Another kid, nice bike. Too bad it may be the last time he rides it. So it's Danny on the bike. He's trying to bluff his way about getting the hardware. Why don't we show him the hardware he gets for asking? Clean, says one of them. Pulls a switchblade on him. And Punisher there is thinking, looks like I was wrong about at least one of the kids. Good. So he's about to take a shot. Why isn't the transformation kicking in? I need it, says Danny as he touches the gas cap. Punisher's getting ready there to pull the trigger, save him. And then one of the thugs says, chill. If we waste him here, we're going to blow any chance of getting the firepower we came for. Take off, little boy. And if you bring the man here, you're dead meat. So Danny rides off. And Punisher there watching. Don't look so down, kid. You don't want to be anywhere near this place come nightfall. Again, love the colours from Gregory Wright. The oranges, the reds, as we're moving from sunset now to nighttime, and we're into those blues and purples. Really good stuff. And inside this warehouse, a huge crowd of neighborhood kids and adolescents. They're all wondering, where's the man? Where's the lights? So now there's a big theatrical entry by this character here, but mostly in silhouette, but wearing a cape. Silence welcome, he says. And now we have a nice top-down angle on... Oops, I think I must have missed a couple of pages there. Sorry, yes, I did. That's a pity, but what I missed was Sunset and Forest Park. Again, we've got magentas coming in now into the color palette there. Yeah, Gregory Wright doing really well with the different colors of the different times of the day. Dan thinking, I can't believe it when I needed it the most. This bike let me down. And he is thinking how he needed the Ghost Rider. Now he's gone, but it's nighttime. Night has fallen, and wow, there the gas cap starts glowing, and a big smile on Danny's face. So his attitude to the Ghost Rider is changing over these early issues. Now he's looking for the Ghost Rider, hoping the Ghost Rider comes out, and happy that he has at this point. And then here we have the Punisher watching the people going into the warehouse, and then he sees Ghost Rider. Too bad. I'd hoped he was one of the good guys. Hope he hits the road quickly. Those eyes, can he see me? This is a really cool scene. This is so cool, actually. So he's looking up at Frank through the binoculars, and then I just love this panel. This is a Javier Saltares page for sure. You can just see the top of Ghost Rider's skull, and it's so weird. Punisher there throws away the binoculars. He's going for his sidearm. Rode straight up the building. That's impossible, or is it? What a really cool panel there. Again, we got the speed lines. Ghost Rider hopping over the ledge onto the rooftop, and the Punisher has got his gun up in time and pointed at Ghost Rider. The castle should take him down. So that's all happening outside, and Ghost Rider basically gets off the bike and goes over to have a chat with Punisher. Why do you wish to hurt me? And Punisher says, you've been putting weapons in the hands of kids. Ghost Rider counters, you're the one with the guns. I want to avenge the death of the innocent. And Punisher, thinking to himself, doesn't look like an Avenger to me, and he's not denying his guilt. Come on now, Punisher. That's a bit of a kind of a leap that you've made there. And so he starts blasting at Ghost Rider chest shots. 4 direct hits, and he's still coming. What is he? That's a really nice panel there as well. Good stuff. Ghost Rider knocks the gun out of Punisher's hand. Gun's gone. Says Punisher, I've been in tougher spots. Let's see how tough his ribs are. Like hitting a wall. But he's going down. But of course, the Ghost Rider has superhuman strength. That's been established up to this point. So he declares, not even an exclamation point, enough. And knocks Frank clean off his feet. Let's see where this is going. Meanwhile, the guy in the warehouse, we still can't see him properly. He's giving a big speech. You've been oppressed long enough, he says, under the guise of nationalism, patriotism, and love of country. You've been held down by the government, which pretends to support you. In fact, they're in collusion with the big businesses to keep you down. It must stop. It's an interesting political dimension to that speech. Meanwhile, up on the roof, Punisher there is thinking he's not human. I've been up against not human before. Have to avoid those fists. Buy time until the right moment. So he's dodging Ghost Rider there. This page could well be by Mark Texeira. Some of you have been given weapons. Could be laid out by Javier Saltares, but the pencils, like the finishes, are by Texeira, I would say. Some of you have been given weapons, says the guy. Today, the rest of you will be supplied with more weapons and something else, a plan, as he shakes his fist. But we're back to the fight with between Punisher and Ghost Rider. Punisher goes on his backside. Ghost Rider's getting back on the bike. Punisher brings up his rifle. And then the guy downstairs, tomorrow you will be given the opportunity to strike at the very institutions that have been keeping you down. When corporate America falls, the pitiful flag-waving patriots will tumble with it. The country will then be in the hands of glorious anarchy. This is like straight out of Tyler Durden's speeches from Fight Club. Really, really interesting, but years in advance of that Chuck Palahniuk novel. I wonder, did Chuck Palahniuk read this issue of Ghost Rider, or is that just too much of a stretch? Then back up on the rooftop, again, I just really love the speed lines, and I love the contrast of the cool blues and then the bright yellow there. That's such an excellent part of Ghost Rider's design, especially with the new bike. If this doesn't stop him, says Punisher, nothing I'm carrying will. And of course it doesn't stop Ghost Rider. And Ghost Rider drives him right off the roof. That gives us our cover. So Jim Lee's interpretation of this scene. They're falling down from the rooftop, but they're going to go through this skylight here. Where do they land? Right in the middle of the warehouse with the crowd. That's where they are. And now the reveal of the guy in silhouette. Flag Smasher is not so easily killed, he says, but you will be. And Punisher says, guess I was wrong about you. And this is kind of funny from Ghost Rider. Really laconic. And he simply says, yes. To be concluded. Do or die. So that will be part 2. And we've got another letters page here. People writing in about issue number 2 in particular. And there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary of Ghost Rider number 5. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.